My name is Thomas Scherer. I'm a film and media scholar, and for MORES, we looked at the relation of popular culture and politics and moral emotions on the example of TV shows. We had a huge selection at the beginning. First comes to mind shows like House of Cards, where politics is displayed quite badly as a corrupt place. So we were interested in, okay, where does popular culture invent some kind of productive answer to the crisis of liberal democracies right now? There we find a trope of like the innocent citizen becoming a president. So in regard to this particular trope, we looked at 3 TV shows. We looked at Servant of the People, a Ukrainian series where Volodymyr Zelensky plays a history teacher who becomes president of the Ukraine before his actual presidency. We looked at The Amazing Mrs Pritchard, a British TV series where a supermarket manager becomes prime minister. We looked at En Place, a French series where a youth worker from the banlieues of Paris becomes the president and moves into Élysée. What these fictional shows can reveal about real politics is, for example, if we look only at the first episodes of these shows, that each of these candidates becomes president or becomes in the eye a political candidate first by an outbreak of anger. So by stating, most often in these cases in private, their frustration about the circumstances right now in their countries, that is then broadcasted by media and taken up and echoes in the society, that this is the moment where they are politicized. It's very interesting that the people on the one side and the politicians as the elite are separated by this emotion of anger. What then in the course of the series is interesting, that other than perhaps real-life populist movements who turn anger in an ongoing loop of anger, that they move away from anger, and that the series then try to canalize and to transform this anger into different emotions that find a different political platform and a different political stance towards the world. How we behave towards a group of people, society in this case, is strongly determined by emotions. If we can work out the general emotional stances of these TV shows, we can learn about the public imaginations about politics right now in Europe. Yet these shows deal in our analysis with populism, and what I've learned from these analyses, that populism is a complex concept and that there are very different national discourses. So what is interesting for us here is that populism diagnoses a problem. What we mean is that these shows see divergence between the citizens and the elite, and that there is a gap which cannot be bridged. And this is the problem these shows are working on. So our study and its use of the term populism might be provocative in the sense that we not only see populism as a danger, but also see potentials in populist thought patterns. And this has to do that populism isn't a new phenomenon. It's as old as democracy, and it has been, in some parts of the world, been very useful in engaging groups which felt left out by democracies or by non-democracies out of the democratic principles, to engage them and bring them back into discussions. These shows, as laboratories of populism, engage with certain frustrations of the citizens. So for example, in regard to climate change, there's this impatience perceivable everywhere, that people say, we hear for 20 years about climate change and about the dangers, but nothing really is done. And one of these shows, for example, explains, okay, what would happen if now one of these impatient people would come into power and say, no, enough of these little steps, let's make a big step and see what happens. Let's see what's the worst that can happen if we are being more courageous. And this is without any insight into closer policies. It's more from the emotional side. So it's an appeal to being courageous in certain moment. And this is, I think, the strengths of these series, that they can here be more courageous than other forms of political communication with this power of fiction.